Hello, Year 2. It is Friday, the 29th of January. We are at the end of our third week of home learning already. You are doing such a super job. I know this week has been a little bit difficult in maths because we've been thinking about something brand new this week, multiplying and dividing. So I know some of you have found it a little bit tricky. Okay, so keep practicing. We're going to have another think about dividing today. You have been doing a really super job because it's very tricky. It's been lovely to see you drawing your arrays out on your boards. Okay, so we're going to do a quick warm-up activity and then we'll think about some of the skills we're going to need to complete our learning for today. For our warm-up today, we're going to play a game called Odd One Out. Okay, it's a game I don't think I've played with you before, but it's a really good maths game. What I'm going to do on my board is I'm going to write 4 numbers. And what I would like you to do is have a chat and decide which number you think is the odd one out and why. But the really good thing about this activity is that sometimes there might be more than one right answer or reason why. Okay, so let's have a little look. My first number then, I'm going to have 2, 15, 8, and 6. Okay, so pause the video if you would like a little bit of time. 2, 15, 8, and 6. Have a chat with your grown-up about which one you think is the odd one out and for what reason. Why? What has that number got? Or what is it about that number that is different to all the other ones? Have a pause if you need to. Okay. Now, again, there might be different answers for that one, but the one that stands out to me this time is 15. Okay, did you come up with 15 as well as a reason for it being the odd one out? For what reason could 15 be the odd one out? Well, you might have said that 15 is the odd one out because it's the only one that is a 2-digit number. 2, 8, and 6 are all 1-digit numbers. 15 is a 2-digit number, so that might have been a reason. 15 could be the odd one out. It could be the odd one out because it is not an even number, is it? Remember, even numbers end in 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. So 15 is an odd number. All the other numbers are in our 2 times table, but 15 isn't. There's a couple of reasons there why you might have said 15 is the odd one out. If it is that you chose another number, maybe your grown-up could do a little video of you explaining why, or could write out what it is that you said as a reason why, or maybe you might like to write down on your whiteboard why you think it was the odd one out. Let's have another go at a different one. Okay, this time then I'm going to have 20, 14, and 15, and 30. Okay, 20, 14, 15, or 30. Press pause and have a chat with your grown-up. Which one could be the odd one out this time and for what reason? Maybe you could come up with a couple of different ones and reasons why they are the odd one out. Have a pause and think. Okay, this one was a little bit tricky because I think you could have thought of lots of ones that was the odd one out. You might have talked about the tens numbers. So 30 might have been the odd one out because it's the only one that's got 3 tens. Okay. You might have said that 14 is the odd one out. 14 is the one that I thought of because 14 is not a multiple of 5. 20 and 15 and 30 are all in our 5 times tables, but 14 isn't. You might have said 15 again because 15 is the only odd number, the only number not in our 2 times table. Okay, have a little think. See if you can come up with some good reasons for the next one. Okay, we'll do one more. This time then, we're going to have 56, 57, so slightly bigger numbers this time, 50 and 42. 42, 56, 57, 50 and 42. Have a chat about that one with your grown up. You could come up with more than one reason why a different number could be the odd one out. Okay. Now the obvious one to me, the one that looks the most different, is 42, isn't it? 42 doesn't have 5 tens, but all the other ones do. You might have said 42. Again, if we thought about odd and even numbers, like we thought about in one of our activities earlier in the week, 57 is the only number that is an odd number. You might have said 42 because it's the only number that's less than 50, that's smaller than 50. So there could be, in this game, lots of possibilities. Okay, if you liked that one, maybe you and your grown-up could have a go. Maybe you could write some numbers down for your grown-up and you could spot which one's the odd one out and take turns having a little go. Remember to use our super maths vocabulary when you're giving your reasons. I would love to hear what reasons you came up with. I'd love to see if you have a go as well. Okay, let's have a look at our learning for today. Now we've done our warm-up then. So we're going to have a bit of a recap first of multiplying and dividing, because in our Year 2 book, that's what we've been focusing on this week. So we're going to have a little bit of a recap of what we've done so far, and then we'll think about our new learning for the day. Okay, I've got an array here. I would like you can draw the array out if you would like to, but you don't have to. You can just pause the video and use my array. I would like to see if you can use what we've done earlier in the week, and if you could write me 2 multiplication facts that match my array and also 2 divisions. If it is that you're finding it tricky to come up with all 4 of those calculations, see if you can write me at least one calculation that matches my array. We're thinking about how to use a multiplication and also how to use a division. See if you can have a go. Okay. Maybe you were able to write 2 multiplications. So if we think about our numbers going across, I've got 5 and I've got 3 lots of 5 with 15 altogether. So 3 times 5 equals 15. Or if I think about my array the other way, I could have groups of 3 and I could have 5 groups of 3. 5 times 3 equals 15. And then the last couple of days, we've been thinking about dividing. Which number's got to go at the start for our division calculations Year 2? It's got to be 15, hasn't it? How many strawberries altogether? And then the numbers either side of the multiplication sign can be changed around. 15 divided by 5 equals 3. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. A big well done to you if you could write me one calculation that matched my array, and a huge well done if you were able to write all 4 of them. That shows you've understood really well this week. I'd like to see some photos of your recap learning. Okay. Now, we're also thinking about our recapping of dividing, okay? What we did yesterday was we used our times tables to solve our division problems, which we are going to do again today, okay? So when we're dividing by 2, we know 2, counting our 2's until we get to the biggest number, and when we're dividing by 5, we know to count in 5's until we get to the biggest number. So can you, on your whiteboard, pause it and see if you can have a go at counting in your 2's to solve those division calculations and counting in your 5 to solve those ones. Okay, give it a pause and we'll go over them. Okay, let's count together. You can check your answers. So 10 divided by 2, counting in 2's till we get to 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 5. Counting in 2's till we get to 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 4, and counting in twos until we get to 14. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that time. How did we get on with those twos? Did you get them all? Think about our fives. And let's change to counting fives now. I need to stop when I get to 25 to see how many fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Then I need to count in fives 8 times to get to 40 and 3 times to get to 15. Okay, let's have a little photo of your learning so far from your recap. Hopefully you've done a super job with those. I'm sure you have. Right, and let's think about today. So today, can I use my 2, 5 and 10 times tables to solve division questions? So that's very similar to yesterday, except yesterday we were using arrays as well. So can I use my 2, 5s and 10 times table to solve division questions, including those with missing numbers? So that's our extra bit of learning from today. We're consolidating being able to count, but some of our questions today have got some missing numbers. Okay, now we've already just done 25 divided by 5, okay, which was 5. And we knew to work that out, we counted in 5s until we got to 25. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And that's what we know to do when our answer is the missing number. So we've got both numbers in the question, it's the answer that is missing. But because today we're thinking about solving missing numbers, you are going to have some of your calculations where one of the numbers is missing, but it gives us the answer. Okay, and you can see for these ones, the answer is going to be 5 each time. So what times table do you think we're going to be using? 5 times table, aren't we? So just like when we're dividing by 5, we count in 5s to get the answer. If the answer is 5, but this number is missing, we use the same strategy, the same method. We're going to count in 5s until we get to the biggest number, the amount altogether, to find out what we've divided by, okay? Because remember, when we multiply, we can swap the two smaller numbers around in the number sentence. That's the same with dividing. So if we imagine that 5 was there, we would do the same method to work out the answer, even though it's the middle number that's missing. Okay, so 5 is my answer. I've started with 10, so I'm going to count in 5s until I get to 10 to see what number is missing. Have a go and do it with me then. 5, 10. What number am I going to write on my missing space? 2, aren't I? I needed to count in 5s 2 times to get to 10. Just the same as if I counted in 2s, I would count in 2s 5 times to get to 10. Those numbers can change around. Okay, this time then, this one says 30 divided by something equals 5. Tell your grown up what you think we might do to work this one out. What are we going to count in, and how will we know when to stop? Okay, we're going to count in 5s, aren't we, until we get to 30. Let's have a go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We needed 6 lots of 5 to get to 30. So our missing number is 6. Okay, and then our last one. Again, what are we going to count in? You see if you can do this one before I help. Okay, see if we can check our answer. Okay, 5, 10, 15. 15 divided by 3 would be 5. Okay, we've started to think about the missing numbers where the middle number is missing. Okay, let's have a see at what we're going to move on to. Now, this one looks completely different because we haven't got the number that we are starting with. Tell your grown-up what you know about the number we start with, the number at the beginning of a division calculation. What do you know about that number to start a division? It has to be a bigger number, doesn't it? Now, behind here, behind my yellow box, I've got something that I think might help us. Okay, so what I've got there is a number triangle to show the fact family, and we used something similar in school when we did addition and subtraction. Okay, and what this reminds us is the relationship between the numbers and between multiplying and dividing. So I know that if I multiply 7 and 5 together, the answer is 35. I know if I take 35 and divide by 5, the answer is going to be 7. And if I do 35 divided by 7, the answer is going to be 5. Okay, so that gives us the answer to this one, doesn't it? Because what we're going to do is multiply those two numbers to work out the start number. So we need to count in fives 7 times to work that out. We're going to count in 5 7 times because we know we're after a bigger number, which we get when we multiply. Let's just double check that our number triangle is right. Let's count in fives 7 times. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So we've got to count in our fives to multiply to get our answer. Okay, 35 divided by 5 would be 7. Okay, I've got another one there. I have got another number triangle hidden behind my yellow box, but let's have a chat about what we think we might do and then we can check. Okay, so we know we've got to have a bigger number at the start. We know that the opposite of dividing, the inverse of dividing is multiplying. So I think if we multiply those two numbers, we will end up with a bigger number at the start. Let's have a little look at our number triangle. Okay, so we can see 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20. So 20 divided by 5 will be 4. So 20 divided by 4 will be 5, won't it? Okay, and again, we multiply the numbers together to get a bigger number. So this time I've got to count in fives 4 times. 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, when I want to get a bigger number, I have to multiply. When I want to get a smaller number, I have to count and stop when I get to that bigger number, don't I? Okay. So I would like to see if you could have a go at those now. Okay, so pause the video, have a little think. They're both dividing by 5, so we need to use our 5 times tables. See if you can work out what those start numbers need to be using the same method. Okay, give it a pause, have a go. Okay. Now I'm going to go over the answers. Hopefully you remembered. For this one, we would need to count in fives 3 times to end up with the bigger number, 5, 10, 15. Okay. And for this one, we would count in fives how many times? 8. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So 40 divided by 5 would be 8. Well done if you got those. Okay, well done. Keep practicing counting in our times tables to help us get better at those. Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance now to have a go at a couple that have been muddled up, because in your book today, your number calculations, your division calculations are all going to be mixed up. So some of them we will need to find the answer, some of them we will need to find the missing number in the middle, sum, we would need to find the number at the start. See if you can have a go. Now we're thinking about two different kinds of missing number questions together. So give the video a pause. Remember, when we need the answer, we've got to find a smaller number when we divide. When we need the first number, we've got to find the bigger number because that's what we start with. Have a go now, and we'll check our answers in a minute. Okay, so did you remember when we're doing 6 divided by 2? Did you remember to count in twos and stop when you get to 6? 2, 4, 6. Did you get 3 for that one? Okay, because this time we had our start number, so we needed to count in twos this time 4 times. 2, 4, 6, 8. Did you remember that strategy? Okay, it was 8. Well done if you managed to get those. It's tricky to switch from doing one method and then the other method. It's tricky to change our mind halfway through, so well done. Okay, our next part then is the exact same kinds of calculations, but they've tried to trick us by writing it in words instead of writing it as a number sentence. Okay, so we've just worked out that 8 divided by 2 equals 4. So we know that. But what they've done is they've worked it out. They've worded it, in a different way. Instead of saying 8 divided by 4, they've said how many 2's in 8. And that is what we mean by dividing. And when we divided on our number line, we saw how many jumps we needed to get to a certain number. That's the same idea. How many 2's in 8? Okay, what I've got here is something called Numicon. You might have used Numicon in school before. I've got a green Numicon with 8 circles to show the number 8. And then I've got some 2's, and this just shows you what we mean when we're thinking about how many 2's in a number. So here's 8. I'm going to see how many 2's fit onto my 8. 1, 2, 3, 4 2's fit into 8. And that's the same as writing like we just did. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. There are 4 2's that go into 8. If I'm counting in 2's until I get to 8, I can count in 2's 4 times because there are 4 2's in 8. Okay, so look at the next one then. This one says how many 5's in 15? How many 5's in 15? Okay, so 15 is the number I'm starting with. I'm dividing it by 5 to see how many 5's. So I need to count in 5's until I get to 15. 5, 10, 15. It would be 3. So there are 3 5's in 15. Okay, see if you can have a go now at this one. How many 2's in 12? How many 2's in 12? If you're in my phonics, that's one of our tricky words for this week, isn't it? Many. How many 2's in 12? Pause the video. See if you can write down the calculation we would need to do to write that down. See if you can solve it. Okay, so how many 2's in 12? 12 divided by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 6. There are 6 2's in 12. Okay, so that's lots of our questions for today. I'm just going to show you our book and then I'm going to show you all of the questions. So today we are on page 15. Dividing at the top, and you'll see the first part is fill in the missing numbers. Missing number questions like we've practiced. Okay. Question 2 is the same kind of question that you had yesterday with your 2 times table, but this time we are using the 10 times table. Okay. You'll see all the ones at the top, the missing number ones, are all using your 2's. Okay. Then question 3 is like we've just looked at. Question 3 is worded with the word. So how many 2s in 8? How many 5s in 20? Just like we've just done, thinking about the division calculation. Question 4 then, just the last one before we go, says circle the division that is equal to the one shown on the ball. On the ball, it is 4 divided by 2. Okay? So 4 divided by 2. Let's work that out together. Counting 2s and stop when we get to 4, 2, 4. It's 2, isn't it? So what you've got to do is spot which of those other calculations also have the answer of 2. Some of them you will be able to work out by counting in your times tables and by using your multiplication knowledge. Okay? There is one on there that is really quite tricky, which says 50 divided by 2. Now what we have to remember is when we are thinking about our dividing, it's remembering our number triangle like that. So if my answer is going to be 2, okay, that means that if I did 2 multiplied by the number I've got there, that answer should be the number at the start. If it isn't the number at the start, then your answer to the division isn't going to be 2. So this one says 50 divided by 2. If the answer to that one was going to be 2, that would mean that 2 multiplied by 2 equals 50. Okay, just like 2 multiplied by 5 would equal 10. See if you think that sounds right. That one's a tricky one to work out. I don't think we would want to count in 2s all the way up to 50 or draw 50 circles. So see if you can use what we know about multiplying to see if we think that one would be the same. Okay, and also we should know that if we're dividing by 2 and 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2, then would our other numbers that are dividing by 2, would they also be the same if we know 4 divided by 2 is 2? Have a see what you think without me telling you those answers, okay? So lots to do there. Sure you are going to do a super job. And I can't wait to see how well you do on Friday's learning before we have a new week next week. Okay, keep working really hard. Well done, year 2.